This is not the beardo episode you are looking for. This is not the beardo episode that you are looking for. I will expand on that in just a second. But first, even last week, I was talking about how we have this bit. We talk about how there's not a whole lot to say and that we might have the shortest episode ever of After Schmoe. This time, it's a little bit different. We're going to be swift and speak with haste because Jaye Williams' Christmas break starts officially tonight. Am I right?
Yeah, for the most part. Listen, it's a stressful time right now. I'm literally doing the thumbnail while I'm podcasting, so I'm multitasking. If anybody wants to learn how to do that, they can join my new class that I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be live streaming it every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be taking the place of the live show on the Schmoedown YouTube channel.
It's a hell of an idea. It's a real treat for me when I hear you say that you're stressed. I'm sorry that sounds like I'm jumping for joy in spite of your pain, but it's just, I don't think people realize how rare it is to hear that you are stressed about something. And it's funny because you don't wear it, right? Like we're only hearing, I've only heard you say, it's a stressful time, but I've never heard you expand on it. You don't really vent about anything. You don't break a sweat ever. It's just kind of an interesting interaction that we have.
Well, I'm always stressed. That's actually my secret in life. It's just, do you show it or not? Do you thrive in it? I like the stress that I can control. This, I can't do anything about it. If I could cancel Christmas, I would. Sorry, everybody. That's just the type of mood I'm in. Come at me in the comment section below.
This will be our last After Schmoe of the year.
Ever. Oh, okay, sorry. We're canceled.
This is our last episode of After Schmoe in 2017, which is kind of a relief because I've always wanted to, in previous iterations of the show, I've always embraced taking a break when the Schmoes take a break, and that wasn't always the case. So I'm able to put my foot down and say, look, if they're not going to be there, there's no way I'm showing up. So I guess we'll probably do a little something at the end, just kind of say thank you or whatever. But anyway, let's get into the show. Welcome to Don't Be an After Schmoe. My name is Ryan Snelling.
My name's Jaye Williams. Right now, I'm literally doing the most challenging thing when it comes to making a thumbnail. Do you know what that is, Ryan Snelling?
You're vaping while podcasting while making a thumbnail.
No, making this thumbnail and podcasting is so much of the highest priority that I'm actually not vaping right now. The most difficult part about making a thumbnail is cutting out fingers.
I hate fingers. I hate ears. I'm really bad. My ears are always a little square when I do my thumbnails. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. My head is fine, but people with hair, that's a challenge for me. I don't do a lot of people with hair though. It's usually
people with feathery hair. That's the hard one because you can never really make it look right. When I was cutting out Schnepp's hair one day, he just ended up looking like a blow pop, like the silhouette of a blow pop.
Like a Ronald McDonald, like his hair is just a circle.
No, that doesn't even do it justice. I mean, he literally looked like, have you ever taken a sweater out of the dryer and the sleeve is all balled up?
Okay.
That's kind of what it looked like. I don't know.
Wait, which part? Is he the balled up part? Is that his hair? Like which part?
Yeah, like if you were just to look at the silhouette of him, it was just like I don't know. It was hard to do. You can't get every curl, all right?
I can go with you there. I understand it being hard to do, but I'm not with you on the sweater thing.
I'm not articulating myself. I'm doing many things at once.
I know.
Get on my back.
I get it. Yeah, Christmas break starts for you tonight. I just got off work, so Jaye, do not ask me if I've watched Harpool today. Don't ask me if I've seen Jedi Council. I literally just got in from work, so I haven't done any of that. You will have to catch me up to speed. This show will be a little bit different, and it's mainly because we don't really have a whole lot to talk about with Collider, at least specifics. So we might just go on and open up the live show recap, and then whatever comes up inside of it comes up inside of it. So I actually, what's funny is that last night I started the show in the middle of the Last Jedi review, and I didn't have a whole lot of time. But when I went to restart it from the beginning, I stopped it at the Last Jedi review. So there was a big chunk that I did not see, but I think we're going to be okay. To talk about Beardo for a second, real quick, just because Christian wanted this to be the Beardo episode, and I talked to Beardo a little bit today about it, and Christian has a bad habit of just assuming that I can do that type of show. He's done that a few times. He's played matchmaker when it came to the Leanne controversial episode, and that's one of my... Actually, no, that is easily my least favorite thing I've ever done for SK+, without a doubt. I thought it was terrible. I hated the idea. I think the episode is just awful, and I wish it never happened. The other time was when he had Makuga on, and the episode was fine. I wasn't really on it. I had to leave for work that day, but I'm mainly disappointed in that episode based on my relationship with Makuga today. But we'll get into that. But anyway, those episodes just never really worked out, so I wasn't feeling the pressure of having him on, even though I welcome Beardo. I welcome anyone who wants to come on. We weren't ready. We had things going on. We had a timetable, and like the time that we're recording, he couldn't have even recorded here now with us anyway. So it just wasn't going to happen. But Beardo is welcome, and I know a lot of people. Jay, I don't know if you saw this in our Facebook group, Insight and Sound. That group is not a corner to bash Schmoes No. We don't really allow anything Collider or Schmoes No in the group, unless it, sort of asks a bigger question when it comes to fandom or movies in general. But there were a few people that came to our defense, and it was pretty funny. It's not allowed, but it was funny to see people come to our defense, and that's happened a couple times too. Earlier last week, I think you and I spoke about wanting to talk television with Makuga, and a couple of our buddies in the group said that they weren't. I asked them to ask Makuga to come on Sight and Sound, and a couple of them said that they weren't going to do that because they're protesting Makuga because of us. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But I don't know what Beardo's deal was last night. I'm intrigued. I think everybody's intrigued, but that will come later, and we'll kind of let the heat wear off too, because I want to have a more.
I'm not really on the same page, just because I don't think. First of all, I don't think you necessarily, and maybe you do, but I don't think you necessarily mean that you aren't confident in being able to do the show. I think the commentary is more so on the fact that Christian sort of sprung it on not just Beardo, which could set anybody, give anybody anxiety. Like, he didn't know coming into the Collider offices that day that was just going to be a mandated thing. You also never know when Christian's joking. He legitimately might fire him for not coming on the show. The other aspect of that is, I don't think it's the fact that we're not confident in being able to do the show. It's just coordinating all of those things is difficult. It's hard enough for you and I, who live in the same state, to coordinate doing a podcast together. And then when you throw in the 3-hour time difference and all that stuff, it's going to get done. And I know that it's going to be an absolutely incredible show. There's no doubt in my mind that it will be very good. I think part of, and I think at first I was a little bit taken aback by his response by that, because I thought it was negative, but I don't think it's as much that as it is. I don't think he's spoken about this before. I've listened to Beardo many, many times. He doesn't really like to be the center of attention. People have brought up to him, hey, would you ever be interested in doing a Beardo-style interview on yourself? And he's just like, no, I'm not interested in that at all. Some people just don't like the spotlight. So I understand that to a certain extent. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
You know what, Beardo? I don't care about that, because you're coming on after Schmoe. You're going to be the center of attention, whether you like it or not. It's about time. It's about time. You've brought out everyone's tears. their flaws, their personal issues. Now it's time we talk about Beardo. I didn't exactly know what they wanted because the deal was he come on and interview us, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not After Schmoe. I don't want to spend an After Schmoe episode with Beardo interviewing us. That's a Don't Be a Beardo, and I know that he doesn't like that for whatever reason. As far as the confidence goes, I have all the confidence in the world. There was a time when we considered me just doing the show by myself with Beardo because you had other things going on, and so I prepared and I was ready. And if we did it tonight, it would have been probably. I think there's some heat based on confusion of last night's reaction, and I think Christian was dead serious about Beardo coming on, because right after that break, you can hear Christian whisper into the microphone, DM Snelling, and then that's when Beardo revealed what he said to me, which is 100% fact. I even showed Jay, so he can verify that is literally word for word what Beardo said to me. But yeah, I talked to him a little bit about it, and I think he was trying to cushion the blow a little bit with our personal discussion. So if he's listening to this right now, or someone's listening to this that will forward this along, I am prepared and willing to let him come on and air out whatever his actual issue is. Christian is absolutely right. He can come on, give us shit. We've given him shit on this show, and everything is fair and everything's game, essentially, whenever he is willing to come on. So it's all good.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever in question that Christian definitely wanted him to come on the show. I think what's hilarious is that I think it's purely, I think it's for everybody, right? I think it's for our listeners. I think it's good for you and I think it's good for Beardo, but it's also on behalf of Christian's entertainment. So I think that's fine too. He might be disappointed. Listen, I know that there's a lot of people out there that like to talk about the drama in this space. And yes, we might cover that from time to time, but that's not what I'm interested in talking about all the time. And I don't think that's necessarily the case for you. If anybody's expecting to come on here and us just absolutely go at each other, I'm just not interested in that. I want to get to know Beardo. I want to get to know everybody over there and dive a little bit deeper into his sort of creative mind, see what he has going on inside of that Beardo brain of his.
The only time I don't think I've had a whole lot of confidence in interviewing somebody was Ellis, probably. I think that might be my worst interview, because I've interviewed various people over the years on Film Beef or Sight and Sound or whatever, and Ellis is, in my opinion, easily one of my worst interviews because I was so nervous. I mean, today I don't have those nerves, but it was before I got involved with everything, so I just kind of thought that was funny. But So, does Ellis have any idea who you are?
I don't know. I don't know if he does or not. I mean, I will put forth the fact that he called us both this week. I'm not going to go into full detail what was going on with that phone call, outside of the fact that, it was just sort of checking in on us. It was a personal thing, which I appreciate for you and I both, just to check in. And it's a very nice sentiment.
Very gracious with his time. He does call me from time to time just to check in, and it's always much appreciated when he does that. So, and he called you for the first time, and we were just kind of laughing at the fact that he seemed like he didn't quite understand where you lived when you and I both met him together in Cincinnati. And so part of me was wondering, I wonder if Ellis has even connected those dots.
Yeah, I don't know if he has or not, but that's okay. Listen. He comes face-to-face with many people on a weekly basis, doing stand-up comedy and this and that. But the good news is I'm not just some faceless jackass. You can see me every week on Sight and Sound's YouTube channel. You can look at my Instagram profile or Twitter, whatever the case may be. It was nice. It was a nice gesture. I think the thing with Mark is that he is not only is he such a personal guy, but, we've talked before. I think everybody there, for the most part, seems like a very genuine individual. But Mark, I would say that radiates off of him more than anything. Not maybe not more than anything, but more so than I get the vibe from than anybody else. You could just, it's very palpable. And the thing about Mark being so genuine is when he gets down on something or when he gets frustrated with the fan community and this and that, like I almost take it even harder. Like when Christian rants about it, obviously it's funny and this and that, and he can get really intense. But when Mark does it, it's like your nice grandma getting on you. It's just like, not that he's a grandma, but it's just like, man, if Mark's mad at you, there's something really, really wrong because he's just a good guy.
I think I've talked about this before, but the difference between a phone call from Christian and a phone call from Ellis is Ellis will text me and be like, hey, are you free sometime today just to chat? And we'll set it up and we'll talk or we won't. Christian will just go on and call me and I will be at work and have answered the phone and he'll just start talking and I'll say, wait a minute, I'm at work. Hold on, let me see if I can take some time. And he just sits there as if, yeah, I expect you to do that. Go ahead and ask if you can take a break so we can talk. That's the difference. And where was I going with not knowing who you are? Oh, yeah, there's that one guy who thinks that you are literally Brian Davids.
That's right. It's not the case. In fact, it says so on the thumbnail what my name is. So let's just, for the guy that's listening, you know who you are. Just hit pause and look at what my name is.
Read the description. You can literally hear him say it at the beginning and end of the show. Yeah.
That's me.
Also Brian Davids. Also, Brian Davids is on another podcast with a completely different voice. So there's that. Check out Schmoedown Rundown with him, Brad, and Frank, and all of the other SK podcast shows. I don't know what their schedules are over break, but I assume that there are going to be people like Roca who take care of us and give us something to listen to. I think you and I will have a Sight and Sound that comes out next Monday purely on the SK Plus YouTube channel. So yeah, we will do our best, but I don't know SK Plus's schedule, but hopefully there's some good stuff for you. That way you can take in some content over the break. Like I said, we're just going to open up. We're going to go on and open up the Schmoes No Show recap portion here and then talk about the show itself, but kind of intertwine a couple of broad topics that we wanted to introduce. So, Jaye Williams, whenever we talk about the Schmoes No Live show, we go over your stream of consciousness notes to the cliff notes of the night, if you will, and I am ready for those whenever you are.
That's right. I do that. I had to reach over and get my phone because I was in the middle of cutting out Mark Ellis from the background of the set. That was successful. Just need to clean up around his ears and in between his headphones.
I really wanted you, and I should have told you before you started toad. Sorry. That's the Kentucky in me. I should have told you.
Should have toed me. Should have toed hopped me.
I should have told you. I wanted you to just clip out that shot of Brett in the corner of the frame and just stick it anywhere on the thumbnail. That would have been a fun Easter egg.
Yeah, on weeks when I've got more time, I'm open to take requests, but for this one, you're just getting a picture of Christian and Mark. That's about it.
Actually, I'm fine with that happening any other time as an Easter egg. I think it still works. So, but anyway.
Yeah,
stream of
R.I.P.
consciousness
Brett on the show.
Yeah.
Who knows when we'll see him again.
Okay.
These are your Schmoes No Stream of Consciousness notes brought to you by sightsoundpod.com for the last time in 2017. Love the Brett, quote-unquote, cam, even though it wasn't a camera. I miss this. The energy is electric. Love Makuga wearing that green pullover. Pullovers look great on him, legitimately. Who's Max again? Oh shit, RB3 is wearing that dope Stranger Things Adidas crew neck. Brett is still fire. Take it from a former fuckface. You can win Christian over. Ellis is the best at spinning things into the positive. Hey, I like Makuga's crew neck. I mentioned it already. This show is off the rails and I love it. Oh my God, hearing about Makuga's social media experiences for Collider is amazing. Brett, please keep drinking. Not sure why Beardo doesn't want to come on our show. We love Beardo. We give Poke the same fun at him. What does that mean? As everyone else, but we also share the same love.
Were you sloshed when you wrote that
Yes.
note?
Christian and the Mr. Robot reference is hilarious for so many reasons. Mark is absolutely on fire with these jokes. Joelle is crushing in the Star Wars discussion, not even necessarily because of her points, which are great, but in general, just making her voice be heard. She said, "Fourth chair curse? What is that?" 1, where did Finstock come from? And 2, his outfit is dope. Have Finstock and Cal ever interacted before? I agree with Mark. Fantasia is poopy. The lead singer of Wizard, Rivers Cuomo.
What?
I need that podcast. Walks with Finstock. Loved hearing Cobster's Last Jedi takes. Oh shit, RB3 dropping the hot takes. And those are your Schmoes Notes, Stream of Consciousness notes brought to you by SiteSoundPod.com.
That was a pretty healthy set of notes there. Very good. Very good.
That was only like half the show because I was so into the Last Jedi discussion that I sort of abandoned the notes and was getting a little sleepy. I'm not going to lie. I haven't been sleeping much lately.
The only thing I didn't get was the social media stories from Makuga. So did he follow back up on that? I remember him mentioning it.
He told a story about whoever was running the Collider social media prior to him. They were just like accepting anybody's Instagram message requests.
Okay, I did.
It might have been Facebook, and somebody said, "You guys are paid off by Disney," and he finally just responded one day, "You are a fucking moron."
That's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Yeah, I do remember that now.
No, real quick though, two things just to take away from the notes before I do forget them. One, I legitimately think it's hilarious that that Christian made a Mr. Robot reference because I'm still convinced he's never actually watched that show.
Actually, you're wrong about that. Me and my wife were getting together looking for something to watch, and we binged all 2 seasons. Well, there's 3 seasons, Christian. Well, whatever. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but he's right. Ace did look like Rami Malek when he was wearing the hoodie. But the other thing, I do love the behind the curtain discussion. Well, Finstock and I were taking a walk the other day. And I asked you if you had seen The Last Jedi. Like, yeah, I just feel like that's a book that we need to see when Christian's retired. Yeah, call it Walks with Finstock.
One of the first episodes of the Schmoeville podcast, when I just got started, Christian told me that him and Finstock listened to it on the way to doing something, and I just spent so much time imagining what that would have been like if they were in the car, if they were taking a walk through the park, or it was just such a weird thing. Because I don't remember what he said, but he gave me a little bit about what Finstock said about the episode, and it's like I can't do that. Like, why even bother give me criticisms from Finstock? That does nothing for me. So, I in my notes, I take my notes here as well, and of course, I just have Finstock is amazing, and then later on, I have Finstock LMAO. So that was probably something about him seeing The Last Jedi.
Can I say something that might piss Christian off? I don't think it'll piss him off, but listen, I know via the Schmoedown storylines that you retired Finstock. I get it 100%. And he's supposed to be known as Tom Dagnino now. But God damn it, to me, he's still Finstock, okay? Finstock was born on the Schmoes No Show, okay? And to me, he's Finstock. He will never be Tom Dagnino to me. Bring back the name, bring back the mask. Or don't bring back the mask, but he will be. I'm sure people are going to be like, it's Tom now. It's Dagnino now. No, it's not. It's Finstock.
I don't think that's anybody's attitude.
Hashtag forever Finstock.
He is literally. You can argue about the names all you want. He is literally still Finstock. So I don't know what the complaint is. He acts the exact same way, and it's always fantastic. You just care that much about the name itself?
You know how I feel about names. I don't like living. This is the only time I like living in the past. Hashtag forever Finstock.
What does the past have to do with your opinion on names?
Because that's his old persona.
Okay, so anyway, if I could take a second to make fun of ourselves, I think it's pretty funny. It has to be amusing for people to come to our show, and this might be where people decide or accuse us of being shills, because from literally week to week, we will praise, oh, I love when they do the shows, just Mark or Christian, or I really, really love the live show, and vice versa. It's like we're always loving whatever they're doing. I did miss this. You said you missed this live show. I missed it a whole lot too. And you know what? I just like it all, okay? I love both for what they both are. I love getting everybody together for this live show. The attitude behind the live show is something completely different, so I will take both kinds of shows. I think I even said it last week that I would love it if there was a way to do both in 1 week, but and we'll talk about the announcement here in a minute, but never make bad announcements early in the show. It's my only note that I made that's in all caps. Christian and Mark, never make bad announcements early in the show. They didn't, I know, but they were about to, and they've done it before. Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just confused where you were going with it, because I didn't know if we were talking about the announcement or not, or Phase 7. Is that what we're about to do right now?
No. That's just when they teased at the beginning of the show that they were going to make it, and Christian and Mark had a back and forth about when they should do it. So,
yeah, I don't remember specifically. I don't even know if I was involved at this point, but didn't Christian make his announcement that he was leaving like at the top of one of the shows?
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, okay.
You moron! I think that seeing Riley and Makuga there on the couch, it really... We talked a little bit about like Christian and Mark and their one-on-ones feel really old school. I'm glad that if anyone was there, it was Makuga and Riley there on the couch. We also got a little bit of Ken. So it was like OG at the start, with the exception of Joelle. But of course, Joelle knows that she's always welcome. I just loved how it felt OG, and then you have Brett in the corner, like you mentioned, in the background, and there was nothing more perfect than that. I loved it. I'm trying to think of like some kind of cartoon comparison. Like it's just this little guy or this cranky old man shouting in the background. It was cracking me up. I think it was cracking them up for the most part. And it also added a little bit to it that he was drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I love Brett just because of the fact that he's so unpredictable. And this is a type of character that if it was something that he was playing up, then it could easily become annoying after a while. But Brett is always fire. Always. And the fact that he would just start screaming in the middle of people talking fits so much of what this show is, what the live show is. And we'll get into it more when we're sort of breaking down the announcement. But Brett belongs in this habitat, and I'm sure it's a little bit frustrating when they're trying to have their serious conversations and he's just like screaming in the middle of it. But at that whole first third of the show, I was literally crying laughing. I thought it was so funny. They were being so mean to everyone in there. No, I'm just kidding. They weren't being mean, but they were laying it on hard on Makuga and on Beardo.
They ripped Makuga. Oh my God.
Yeah, they absolutely laid into him. Heard a few of our jokes thrown out there as well, which was kind of nice. But anyways,
are you just about to gloss over that point? Because we both noticed it. They used our jokes on the live show, and this isn't one of those things where
by they we
mean
Christian.
Anyway, Are you here?
I'm here.
That's hilarious. That might be the first time we've ever questioned if we're still here based on our classic pausing.
I know.
That's great. Yeah, they ripped Makuga, they ripped Beardo, but it was all in good fun, of course, in the way that friends rip each other, in the way that me and Jay rip each other.
In the way that we rip people on the show, because that's all we do. All we do is talk shit here. Just kidding.
That's. I think that's part of Beardo's attitude towards the show, because as soon as Christian was like, they make fun of you on the show, he had an immediate, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I talked about with Mark. I think we both did a little bit, maybe, in the phone call this week when he called us, is I just wanted to let him know that, listen, I get it. If everybody doesn't listen to our show, nobody has to listen to our show over there. It's not a big deal. But if the only information they're getting fed is, oh, they were making fun of you in this part, and they just have this negative connotation, it's just like, either A, listen to the entire thing and pass a judgment, or at least acknowledge that that's not what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's not all we're doing. So.
And yeah, we'll touch on that. I do want to expand on that thought and have that conversation with Beardo. But inside of our conversation, mine and his, he mentioned that he knows nothing about our show.
And that's fine.
So to your point, that's probably all he thinks, is that this is what we're doing. But at the same time, I might make an example of Beardo when he's able to understand that that's not what we do. We could actually flesh all of that stuff out, and I think that'll really help your point here. But it's also officially why I've given up on Makuga. It's one of those things. I'm not shying away from the fact that it's personal in the sense that he's just kind of been ruined for me. I have no interest in like talking shit about him and anything like that. But the fact that he is so the way he is about us and about our show, the fact that he didn't even remember being on.
He's flippant.
Huh?
He's flippant about our show.
Yeah, he's flippant. Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's gotten to the point, and I don't think I've ever said this before about anyone at Collider and Schmoes, but it's just like, I just don't have an interest in him anymore. Like, I even last week, I was probably one of the only people that defended him about his new job, and I think he's self-conscious of it. But it's like, it's just, I'm sick of it. So I'm just kind of over all of that. And again, I don't have any interest in bashing him week to week on the show. I just almost don't really care what he does at this point. And I don't know. I don't feel like a fan of Makuga anymore. So that's just
right.
me.
And this is the last point I'll make about the phone call, because I don't want to get into just our interactions with them. But the one of the biggest points that I wanted to make, and hopefully people do listen over there, because I think it's easy to forget that they're out there in California and they have, all of these potential opportunities for the careers that they have and whatnot. And we're out here in Kentucky, we're doing our thing, covering the show. But our goals are no different. All we want to do is entertain people in the same way every single person at Collider does, and we want to make a career out of doing it. So I think when you accept the fact that we can at least share that, we're all moving in the same direction. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You've talked about that before, not wanting to just be like, oh, they're just some guys doing the show. It's just like, it's more than that.
Something I want to ask Beardo when we have him on is, I want to know what the attitude is from him, what the attitude is towards SK Plus, because sometimes I think, and this isn't a judgment or a criticism, I don't know that they have to. I think sometimes I take SK Plus more serious than like the Wanger Show does or Don't Be a Beardo does, because I feel like I'm working towards something, and Copster is working towards something by working at Collider, not by hosting the Wanger Show. And again, this isn't a judgment or a criticism, just an observation. They don't, and probably don't feel an urgency, to put out an episode every week in the way that we do. So I might have a greater sense of pride, or I'm more proud of the work you and I do. We do 2 shows a week for SK Plus, and there's an urgency to it, and there's a grind to it, and there's a hustle to it. And I don't know. I want to ask Beardo what he thinks about that. I don't know exactly how they view SK Plus in the building over there, but I know how I view it, and I can probably imagine that it's probably the same for the Rundown, because the Rundown is more so in our situation as well. So I don't know. I was just kind of curious and interested with that topic. So
Roca and Nost, top 10. I think it's also big for them. I would say. I mean,
yeah,
it's a big show, and it's a big show on the feed, and I think they take it very seriously. I mean, it's a show that came back because people wanted it so bad.
Right.
I agree. I think, and it's fine if people don't look at it this way, but we acknowledge that Mark and Christian have given us a platform to help, start our careers doing this stuff. So we're very thankful for that.
I've been very outspoken about the movie fandom rut that I felt in 2017, and it's partially due to the fact that I've been annoyed with the fan community, and I wish that they would be more reasonable and would chill out more. And I think that's going to come up in a couple of the topics here today. But something that happened early in the episode is they mentioned how Riley has just been getting nailed on social media. Riley has contemplated leaving Twitter. I saw him post on Facebook that he's no longer allowing, like, quote-unquote fans or Schmoevillians to be friends with him on Facebook. And he has a great point. It's a great point to make about Facebook in general, not just fan interactions. People on Facebook are so weird about, like, if Riley posted a picture of him and his mom in front of a Christmas tree and someone comments, "What'd you think of the Black Panther trailer?" It's like, no, that's not where you do that. Like, that's not where you put that post. And I think a lot of that is happening, and it's certainly happening as far as threats and negativity when he's just trying to post a picture on Instagram of him and his girlfriend or Cal, and people are freaking out and bashing him for his opinion on Jurassic World. And you always hear this is why we can't have nice things. What are you going to do when you think that you found your movie fandom corner in this YouTube space? What are you going to do when you completely ruin it for the people making this content for you? It's not just Collider. It's not just Schmoes. No, Screen Junkies is also outspoken. Everyone across the board that works on the internet talks about how terrible it is. And especially with women. I mean, I can't imagine. What are you going to do when you just literally torch them and force them to get off the internet? Or force them to just completely start blocking everyone like Christian is doing? I don't blame anybody for doing that. I don't blame Riley for the decisions that he's made. I wish he didn't leave Twitter. I wish I could talk these guys into just blocking everybody. That way they can slowly but surely sift these people out and filter these people out. Because I would still like to be able to see Riley tweet, I'm interested in these people's takes. So I hope that they give it a little bit more time and have a little bit more patience and just start blocking people instead of just straight up deleting or removing yourself from social media. That's just where I am, but I know I can't imagine what it's like to be in their position as well. And I even brought it up to you earlier this week where I had one interaction that kind of freaked me out, and your first reaction was, well, imagine how they feel over in California.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got my first ever comment that I was being paid by a movie studio this week, which made me very, very happy. I was excited.
Well, maybe don't say that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
did I block the person? I just feel like it's a milestone. Listen, more than anything, I think for you and I, we have our own Sight and Sound Facebook group, and we're super blessed and spoiled with the fact that it's such a good community. It's made me more on edge now to start paying attention, that if it were to ever grow from here, that I would just start knocking people off now as opposed to do what Christian's doing and having to sift through tens of thousands of people. I'm sure that's much more difficult, obviously. And listen, I don't know how much I've actually brought it up on here, but I've talked about it a little bit on social media, and I think in the carpool comments and this and that, but it is an absolute shame that these people have to deal with this trash, because that is exactly what it is. These people are trash. I don't want to, there is no way to sugarcoat any of this, but if you are actually getting so upset about someone's fucking movie opinion that you are going to go on their personal social media to make sure your voice could be heard, you're trash. And you don't belong here. You don't belong. And not only are you not welcomed by these people, you're also not welcome by the community that do love these people. And this is a statement to every single person that listens to this that is a good person. It's time for the fan community to fucking stand up. And it's time for the fan community to help self-police this shit. We're watching free content that Collider and Schmoes know and all of the internet is giving to us. They don't need this shit. They don't need to sit there and have to patrol the shark-infested waters that is the comment sections. It's time for the rest of the people that are good people to get these people the hell out. That goes to the admins of the Schmoeville page. Razika's absolutely fantastic, and the rest of them over there are fantastic. But, you know, and I guess, Christian, if you're listening to this, man, give people the power to lay down that ban hammer, because I'm itching to kick somebody out, even though I'm not an admin of Schmoeville.
I'm sure that that's definitely happened. I think that those guys are really good at that. But it's just, you talked about how Ellis is an old grandma.
Just in the way he's so nice.
I know that it's one thing for Christian to have a rant, and it's one thing for Riley. When Ellis starts to get pissed, again, like you said, that's when you start to sour and you just start to feel bad. It's not so much like, I'm not angry when I see Ellis is angry. I just get sad. Like, it really bothers me. Like, because all I want is for Ellis to wake up and have a good day and go to Panera and get him some ice water. That's what I want for Ellis. I want him to host Movie Talk. I want him to take a nap. I don't want anybody to bother him. But when he gets that worked up, I mean, I like when he gets activated and really passionate, but I don't like to see him speak about something in a way that makes him maybe question or hate what he's doing. And the last thing that I want is for these people to compromise some of the things that they have built, like their Twitters and their followings and things like that, because of a few sour grapes.
Well, what you're referencing right now came up not just once on the live show. It came up a couple of times, maybe even a few times last night, where he had to sort of pull away, break the fourth wall, if you will, and address the comment section. And it's just ridiculous. And listen, I will say this. This is sort of a two-part discussion, because it's not just people being shitty. That's the worst. There is a whole other side of this, of entitlement. And this is something that I really want to address. And we will talk about Phase 7 and the new direction of the show and all this stuff. But I saw a comment section on Schmoeville this morning when I woke up that was sort of started out as just more of like a speculation thing, or maybe even talking about how they're going to miss how things have been on the live show. And then it turned into this wild speculation of why they're not doing the show anymore, and it's clearly because people don't like each other, and it's clearly because they can't pay people. And, you know, Christian addressed some of it today, and he said some of those things are slightly true in the sense where it does cost money to do the show, and sometimes people are tired at the end of a long day, and it's hard to schedule things. But at a certain point, these people were just making up narratives. Like, once that seed was planted, they just started going off on that. Well, they just need to do this and they need to do that. Well, first of all, where you started is incorrect. So maybe don't try to run past the finish line. It's just, there's no basis of that. And at the end of the day, no one is entitled to any of this. if these people want to do the show that they want to do and are passionate about, they've been outspoken. They've said, if we're stuck at 400,000 great subscribers for the next 10 years, then so be it. We would rather have great fans than a million fans. Half of them are shitty. So, just be supportive. I'm not saying that you have to blindly accept these changes and stuff like that. You can have your voice be heard, but do it with a little bit of just coolness. Be cool. Be cool, Ryan.
That really disappoints me to hear that it's from the Schmoeville group, because if anyone has sort of gone through the ringer, if you will, when it comes to the ups and downs or the changes and the evolution behind Schmoes Know and Collider Video, it should be those guys. And I've learned to trust what Mark and Christian say on the live show, and sometimes they don't say a lot, but it's clearly, and they said this, it's just about preparing for Phase 7. That's all. And if you look at it, this is funny, I thought about this last night. I realized that this past month, where Christian and Mark have just been doing the one-on-ones here, it was preparation. It was trial. I think the whole point was to kind of ease us into it. They waited like a month and a half after doing that kind of show to actually tell us. And so we've already experienced it for a month, yet when they say that they're going to do that for another month or a little bit longer, then is it really, again, doom and gloom? This is what we've been doing. And they tell you it's preparation of Phase 7. Other things are coming. You just have to patiently wait. It's like, I'm really disappointed by that. And again, I don't think it's all Schmoevillians in the Facebook group or whatever, but it just sucks. And I'm tired. I'm tired of, like, I don't think, this might be a little bit hypocritical. I guess it just depends on how you want to bring it up. But, I mean, you and I might discuss, like, hey, how much do you think it costs, or do you think Ken is tired from driving from point A to point B, or maybe Brett's a better example. We have that dialogue, and so I don't have a problem with the people discussing, like, well, maybe it just makes sense to pay less people at that point in time, because a lot of those people do work at Collider now, when that wasn't always the case. They had other jobs, and then they came to Schmoes. But now they've been with each other all day, and, they don't really need to do the Schmoes on the show. Also, we can talk about how the content is similar when it comes to topics. Not in approach and not in attitude, but, it's just different in general. So I don't have a problem with people discussing those factors.
Absolutely.
But to make it doom and gloom and like it's the end of the world or that people hate each other, it's like, get out of here with that.
Yeah, it's about knowing the difference between speculation and what's actually going on. And I think that's what bothers me the most, is that the speculation turns into, well, that's obviously what it is. Take it from people who speculate constantly on the show and are wrong about a lot. Like, are we right about some things, and are the fans right about some things in their speculation? Sure. I'm sure it is, but it's not always the case. Where, and Christian did address a lot of these things on Carpool. Like I said, he brought up the money thing, that it can be expensive to do the show. Scheduling can be very, very tough. And the fact that a lot of these people that are on the show, they're ending their day, a full day of work, being with each other with the Schmoes Know show. And sometimes, sometimes it can be a little bit low energy. And we've addressed these things before. And I don't know if are we going to get into full discussion of the announcement right now?
I guess we can. I pretty much accidentally said everything that I had to say, really. But
the only other thing I really wanted to point out is that, if you've been paying attention to this show over the last month or so, the announcement that came should sound somewhat familiar. Now, I'm not even really joking about, well, they took our idea. That doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, we were, as content creators ourselves, we were sort of seeing the tea leaves, reading the tea leaves. We were sort of figuring out how things were going, that beyond the logistical point of view of doing the live show, if Christian and Mark miss just hanging out and talking together one-on-one, then by all means, that's what they should do. That's just what they should do. And I think the thing that I realized last night and the thing that I'm the most excited for is the announcement that we are going to get live shows from time to time, and they are going to be on special occasions. And listen, last night is a perfect example of why you should be excited for that. Not having the live show for 3 or 4 weeks and then getting it last night. Last night might have been one of the best live shows I've seen all year, but it was because of that anticipation. It was because I wasn't being oversaturated with it so much. It felt special, and that's something that people will be able to look forward to in the future.
I was, for once, sitting at my desk, and I was watching the live show on the .com at my computer, and I do this very rarely. But I was just eating at my desk. I had the chat open, and maybe 90% of the people that were involved in that chat should be banned from that channel. It was garbage. It was garbage, and I know that we've already touched on that, but every time I go in there, I hate it, and I'm always just shocked at who those people are. Because I think Ellis even brought it up that it was a record last night as to how many people were watching at a particular time, and I mean that it makes sense. They get more subscribers all the time, but it was terrible, and I don't know who those people are because
who are you?
Like, I can't imagine all of them are subscribers because they just act insane and disrespectful. And it's nuts. And maybe they are subscribers. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I don't have a full grasp as to who their audience is. But I've always wondered what it's like. I've never just stumbled across any kind of live movie radio show. And part of me, it feels like those people aren't Schmoes No fans. Like, why are Schmoes No fans in there talking this shit that they are? That's why they can't be, right? They can't be fans if they go in there and just exclaim, "I hate black people." I saw that in there. What the fuck is that? And then there's one going after Ellis throughout the entire show. It's like, you're not a fan if you come do that shit. So why the hell are you here? Get out of here. I don't mean to be redundant, but I just had to bring up that point because that fascinates me, that chat room, as to how awful it is.
Yeah, it's interesting that they even monitor it at all. If that's what happened,
They do.
I check out the Schmoeville sort of comments that are going through for the master post of the live show, and those are much more fun and tolerable, I think. But listen, I'm not going to just completely gloss over the fact that people can't be a little bit bummed by this news as well. I think absolutely. Listen, I will say as much as anybody else, of course I'm going to miss seeing Brett every single week. Of course it's going to be hard to accept that we're not going to get to see Ace as much or maybe RB3 in front of the camera as much. However, listen, Ryan and I do a show you might have seen it on SK Plus called After Party. And After Party is one of our subscribers' favorite shows. It's consistently one of the things that they look forward to and enjoy the most. But we accept that if we were to do that every single week, it wouldn't be special anymore. So that's why people get excited when we announce, hey, we're going to do an after party this week. And I think it's okay to be disappointed by there not being a live show anymore. But I promise you, your excitement for a live show from here on out until if they ever do decide to have it be a thing every single week, your excitement will be as great, if not greater, than it's ever been before.
Christian, I think white socks are done regardless of if you wear them with black shoes or not. Ellis, for once, in regards to fashion, he is on the money when it comes to gray socks. I prefer black socks, even though I've been called a grandpa for wearing black socks. I don't really know what that is, but I think white socks are done. Thank God they didn't go to phone calls. Ellis teased that before a break, that they might do that, and I'm so glad. The only reason why is it's not even about phone calls being hit or miss. It's the fact that this was the first time that we had a live show in a long time, and I wanted all of the time with them that I could get. So I'm glad that they ended up not doing that. I liked during the Star Wars stuff. I always enjoy Ellis and Christian getting fired up and pissed. We had an epic Harloff rant when it came to loving the things that you're passionate about, and Ellis was really getting defensive. I am 100% on board because I've been annoyed with the reaction to The Last Jedi. I think that I agree 100% that it's about being respectful and reasonable. People can like what they like, but you and I think we enjoy challenging critiques, right? And
Absolutely.
I think Ken kind of had this angle too, where Ken was like, look, and I wish Ken was able to dive deeper on this point. Ken brought up that sometimes people criticize a movie based on false information. And that's something that you and I have talked about. The idea of having a wrong opinion. People who hate the Lost finale and they give their reason, and their reason ends up being a complete misinterpretation of what actually happened. And so I'm talking about the objective stuff, not the subjective stuff. But I wish we heard more from Ken about that point, and maybe he elaborated on it in the part that I had skipped. But he mentioned that. Again, you watched Carpool today. You saw some of the reactions online, and I need you to help me out with what's apparently going on between Schmoes and Red Letter Media.
Yeah. Should I speak freely about this? Because I'll ask you, should I speak freely about this?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know shit about Red Letter Media. You guys know that I'm new to this space. All I know about Red Letter Media is that they are sort of a satirical YouTube channel, and I know that apparently or allegedly they had started some sort of show where they were quote-unquote satirizing Collider at one point. And the relationship was fine. I think they were accepting of it at a certain point.
Christian embraced it, and fans did what they did, and so they tweeted at Harloff, "What do you think of this? Are you pissed? You should fire back at him." Blah blah blah. And Christian was very good about saying, "Look, I think it's funny. It's them doing exactly what they're doing. If it wasn't funny, then maybe I might do some of that." But they kind of enjoyed it. And Red Letter Media did a couple more episodes. To my knowledge, they don't do it often. The last time I checked, they had done like 3 or 4. But yeah, another one popped up, and I did see that. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure they were fine with it, and
so,
they have addressed it on the live show before.
So in the midst of all this stuff going on with the sexual misconduct allegations going on in Hollywood, the bullying stuff that has sort of come up recently in news, Christian sort of challenged people, maybe not even necessarily people, just challenged our perspective on how we treat one another in general. And I actually appreciated it because he was saying, and this was my personal interpretation. I'm not going to speak on behalf of him. My interpretation was, where is the line between bullying and satirizing at a certain point? Like, is it okay that we just throw out this word, this is satire, or this is meant to be comedic, and we're just supposed to give things a pass? Like, at what point are we going to evolve as a culture and as human beings and stop giving shit like that a pass? Like, no, it's not okay to tell these, homophobic and racist jokes. And I'm not saying that's what Red Letter Media is doing. I'm just saying that's the type of challenge that I think he's sort of speaking to. It's not okay to just walk up to a woman and give them an unwanted advance, Hey, you're looking beautiful today. Like, first of all, that's fucking weird, okay? That's weird. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Anyways, I didn't put together this Red Letter Media stuff. I saw fans speculating about it, but it basically had to do with the fact that they were making fun of people who were just overzealous about Star Wars, and Christian was using the word passion about Star Wars. Now, Christian has never once, to my knowledge, actually brought their names up. He's let people deduce what they will of this whole thing. And to his credit, just speaking completely objective about it, and I'm honest about my takes on things, I think he's kind of right. His take was, as a kid, he was made fun of or afraid to show his enjoyment of Star Wars before there was this community like there is. And I'm sure there's people out there who get bullied for being Star Wars fans. Like, why should anybody feel like they shouldn't be passionate about something? And I think he's absolutely right. And I think
I'm sorry to interrupt,
no, please.
But I feel like you are being hesitant about this when you shouldn't. You're speaking as if like you're walking on eggshells when you are totally rightful in what you're saying.
Yeah, listen, I went and watched some of the videos, and
because they did do the Nerd Crew, which is what is the Collider show. They did do that, and then of course they did their classic. Last Jedi, or their movie review, of The Last Jedi. So I don't know if there was some of that inside there as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it just to get a take and opinion of it. And I mean, I'm not walking on eggshells right now, and just by saying it's not my type of humor. It seems like very Tim and Eric sort of humor, very humor that to me isn't necessarily the smartest. And that's all I can really say about it. But I do think it's shitty. And I think if we're looking on the side of positivity and negativity, this is negative types of content. In my opinion, it's content that feeds the toxic nature of stuff like this. I'm not saying that you can't be critical. I'm not saying that you can't poke fun. But to my knowledge, I don't even know if these people even have any sort of relationship with this community.
No. I mean, I'm not saying that people who subscribe to Collider and Schmoes don't subscribe to Red Letter Media. When it comes to these personalities,
I'm talking about their interactions. Like, do they interact with
they're
this side
they're
of things?
from the Midwest. They live in like Wisconsin or Idaho or something like that, Montana or something, and they do it out of their own building. So regardless, they're not intermingling in the way that Collider and Screen Junkies or Christian going on ETC with Dewberry. It's like there's none of that with those guys, really. I think Max Landis has been on their show once, and then that's it. Which is funny, by the way. You caught it. Ellis had a very funny dig about Max Landis on Movie Talk today. But anyway,
is that confirmed? I don't know if that's confirmed.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. You saw Max Landis' appearance on Schmoes No today, right? Do you remember Mark's attitude towards it?
I think Mark's attitude on that appearance was just the fact that he was being a good host, because he's a fantastic host. He was doing his job. I think he was sort of calling Max out on some of his persona that I don't personally think, and this is just me speaking here, but I don't think necessarily lines up with maybe what Mark enjoys sometimes. Like he's just a very eccentric individual, and he's a name dropper, and my thoughts. People, I don't know. Some people know my thoughts on Max Landis. We have our own history, so
Max Landis asked us to take down a video from our YouTube channel, and we didn't do it.
People are going to be like, what is happening right now on After Schmo? We're coming in hot.
I forgot to mention, by the way, I was watching the chat, and it was right after the Schmoedown talk, and I want to hear Jaye Williams' spectacular preview here quickly.
We can. We've got 8 minutes, so you gotta.
Yeah. Someone in the live chat after they were like hyping up, and of course they brought in that guy. I thought that guy in the background was Alan Thicke, risen from the grave, but it ended up being some guy named Owen, which of course had me exclaiming, "Who is that?"
In the shadows in the back of the Wenger section, it looked like the ghost of Robin Williams in the back. Yeah, that
was just Brett. Anyway, they were talking about the Schmoedown, and of course they're talking about it like it's happening tomorrow instead of, the fact that they recorded it a month ago. But anyway, someone commented...
You can't break kayfabe.
I'm a heel.
Is that what that is?
I don't know. I love how they act like those words are just common vernacular.
Have I ever told you that story about when I was in Orlando standing outside of people waiting in line to go into a TNA match and they were talking about wrestling?
I don't think so.
It was just funny because all of a sudden I heard two people arguing and somebody was like, Paige is going heel! And that's exactly how they reacted. I just thought it was hilarious. Not getting down on wrestling fans. I just thought it was hilarious how it was. Paige is going heel!
Anyway, they're talking about the Schmoedown in future tense. And someone commented in the live chat, don't they already know who won? It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's probably the same guy that adds the timestamp to all the videos. Yeah.
I realized why I love Finstock so much, and it's because he's literally Stu Gatz from Dan Le Batard. And it took me forever to come to that conclusion, so shame on me. I have another Finstock is amazing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, here we are. I wanted to introduce a segment. I was going to bring on a Schmoedown expert, and maybe I'll still do it, so I won't completely ruin the bit. But I wanted a Schmoedown expert to come on and preview the spectacular. He was unavailable, so we settled with Jaye Williams.
I'm about to blow your fucking mind right now. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking right now at this this entire card, and for me, I think the one that's the most peculiar, not only to me but to so many fans of the Schmoedown, is the Manager Bowl. I mean, it probably doesn't have top billing, but I think for the surprise factor that this match brings to the table, I think everybody has their eyes wide open. The match, though, in this entire thing, for me personally, because I'm an outspoken Sam Witwer fan, is the match, the Iron Man match between him and Ken. Listen, I'm going into this thing. I'm sorry. I know he's the champion, but I have got Ken Knapsack as the underdog in this match. Sam Witwer is a fucking machine. The only reason, in my opinion, that he even lost that match at the Star Wars Celebration was because of his media duties. I mean, this is a guy who I believe in his last match, I'm not Frank Janish here, but to my knowledge, in his last match, he took down 5 people by only missing, I believe, 2 questions. I mean, this is another level of competitor. I would go so far to say, and I would want Frank Janish to back me up on this, but I think because of what he does in the Schmoedown, you could make an argument with his statistics that he could potentially be a pound-for-pound best Schmoedown competitor. Come at me. Comment below. The story with this entire match, or this entire card, in my opinion, is Sam Levine. Sam Levine has the potential to leave the studio as a 2-belt holder, reigning with not only the Schmoedown singles champion belt, but also the tag team belt. And this would be a fucking comeback story. This is a guy who came in on the tail end and beat Finstock to get his first title shot. You remember that? Remember when he came in the...
yeah.
I mean, absolutely incredible. This guy, I mean, he could have competed in the Celebrities League with the handicap questions, but he's going up for the title against Christian Harloff. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. The tag team match in general between Top 10 and what's their team name? I forget. Above the Line. I think that has so many stakes on it just because Patriots have held the belt for the entirety of the season, and that is incredible. I would love to see them go the entire year unbeaten. And then obviously Top 10 and Team Action. Team Action, in my opinion, personally, I think one of the most overrated teams in the Schmoedown. I think a lot of luck has come their way, which is a part of this game, but they're going against a team that's been maybe not necessarily down on their luck, but I think their wins and loss records for the entirety of 2017 has been, it's been a little bit tumultuous because they're always competing against those top competitors in top 10, but they do have a point to prove, and this is a stipulation match where top 10, if they lose, they have to disband, which I think would be good for Roka's career. I think Roka needs this. I think Roka needs this more than, say, a Matt Nose does, just because Matt Nose doesn't really have that single sort of career, and I think the journey to get back to the singles title for John Roka is much longer than people think it would be. That's just my take, though. How did I do? Watch out, Rundown! We're coming for you! This is after Schmoedown.
Pretty soon it's going to be after Schmoe. We're going to have Sight and Sound. We're going to have Don't Be an After Schmoe. It's going to be a hybrid. We're going to be on that show with Beardo. And then we're going to have After Schmoedown. And it's just going to be us.
Did I do pretty good? Did I do okay?
I got a message from Evan DeGraff at Take 3 earlier in the week. And this is literally what he said to me. He sent me a message on Facebook. Hey, man, we were so close to getting Frank Janish on for our Schmoedown reaction, but he said no. So would you like to come on?
Can I tell you the funniest thing about what I just did in the last little minute here that I've got? I feel like Christian is going to send me he's probably going to call me tomorrow or whenever he's grilling after he hears this thing, and he's going to be like, you were so wrong about everything you said about the Schmoedown. And I'm going to tell him, you know what? I did it unprepared on the fly. So how do you feel about that? I can podcast about anything.
I was going to go off and just completely make up a thing and have a completely fake take about the upcoming match against Christian versus Mark, Schmoe on Schmoe, but I was just kind of exhausted by the time you were done. So.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
The reality is it's 7 o'clock. Jaye Williams, say goodbye to Schmoeville for 2017.
It's been fun. It's been fantastic. Thank you guys so much for inviting me into this space with your open arms and sometimes your annoying arms. I'm looking at you, Evan DeGraff. No, I'm just kidding. I love everybody out there. Love the Schmoes. Love everybody over at Collider. You can find me on social media at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same for both. Also, catch me next year in 2018 breaking down everything pop culture related, music, movies, and television with Ryan Snelling. I got my music show. We're doing a bunch of fun shit. Come and say hi. Goodbye.
On SK Plus next week, you will see the Pop Culture Crown. Jay and I will examine the year in music, movies, and TV and crown who won 2017. So definitely check out that episode. It's on the Sight and Sound podcast feed, but also SK Plus on Monday. Guys, it's been a real privilege to host this show another year. It's almost been 2 complete years since I've been on here. So everybody's great. Very grateful for all of you guys, our fans and friends. We appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing holiday. Enjoy your time. Hopefully you have time off. And we'll see you in 2018. Love you, Schmoeville, and love you, Schmoes.